Hello and welcome to another Talking To episode. I'm your host Teddy, and today I'm being joined once again by
Aiden.
And today we're going to talk about the TMNT, the 2012 Season 2, Episode 8, The Good, The Bad, and Casey Jones. So what do you think about this episode briefly?
I really did enjoy this episode. This was a very interesting episode. It was really different to what I had in mind, and it's super strange that we get to see a whole different side of Casey Jones. And from watching this episode today, I immediately got 2003 vibes. You know, when we first was introduced to Casey Jones and he was trying to murder everyone and try to kill everyone. It just reminded me of so much of that for some reason, and that's all I can think of at this point.
Yeah, I mean, with this episode, it's an interesting one for me because I like a lot about this episode, like a lot of stuff with Casey, but at the same time, it's this version of Casey. But then also the stuff with Raph and him being angry, that has really annoyed me because of what happened in the last episode, and then going into this episode, when we have another episode of Raph being angry. So, it really annoys me, but yeah. Okay, so going into this episode, we do have a really amazing scene where Casey Jones is running his journal and getting ready to go into battle and talking to himself in the mirror and asking about these punks are ready to be beaten. What do you think about that scene?
That was pretty cool. To be honest, it was very menacing and it was very creepy. Good creepy, if you get what I mean. It was threatening, you know, the mask was I completely wasn't expecting a mask, and of course when he was suiting up as well, I wasn't expecting the whole taser to come out of his glove. To be honest, I thought he was going to pull out a blade or something from Assassin's Creed when that happened. I just got to throw that out there, but it was pretty cool seeing him suit up and all that, and just seeing his mask and all that, and his mask I really do enjoy his mask is very menacingly. And to be honest, I'm a bit torn between which mask I like, whether it's the 2003 version or whether it's this version, because the mask kind of reminds me from a game I used to play when I was growing up called Call of Duty Ghosts, and they would have a ghost mask what Casey Jones wears, so it immediately brought back those memories of me playing Call of Duty Ghosts. So, yeah.
I mean, with the mask thing, I do like how this version of Casey does, take the normal design for Casey and then just modifies it to be more this version of a Turtles. And I do like how it's able to keep the core essential stuff of Casey, but also adapt it to be something new and different. And I do think the mask thing that works really well for him. Just so unique and really stands out so well, which I must admit works really well for his character. But with the actual opening, I do think it was really cool and really amazing. I did really enjoy the very dark vibes it gave off with Casey, and about how he wanted to go out and kill people and stuff like that. The one thing which I do find weird though is that he's only been in, I want to say, 2 or 3 episodes prior to this one, but it goes on about how this whole city is infested with mutants and villains and stuff like that. But keep in mind, he's only encountered Mutant Man and also the Footbots. So I think that he's getting a bit too far ahead of himself. But I don't know if that's just me.
Yeah, I kind of felt like that as well. He was jumping the gun, if you would say. He's only seen a couple of people, and now he's headstrong on absolute decimating everyone that he finds and sees. I think he's going way over it. And to be honest, it did remind me so much of Raphael. That we're gonna have 2 Raphaels basically now.
Yeah, I do think that one thing with this whole opening, I think that this probably would have worked if this episode was later in the season or in next season, and did have a lot of build up to this moment where we do get to see Casey find off loads of monsters and stuff like that. I do think that would have been more impactful, but what we did get was really amazing. So then after that, we do get to see an amazing fight scene with the Turtles training and seeing each Turtle's weaknesses and strengths and stuff like that. And each Turtle gets knocked out one by one. You get to see Donnie gets beaten very easily by Mikey's burp. Then Mikey goes down, then Raph, and then Leo. So what do you think about that scene?
To be honest, that was pretty cool. Seeing the turtles do 1v1 with one another, and just seeing them fighting again in the dojo was pretty cool to see. To be honest, I gotta say this now. I didn't really enjoy it as such because it felt like we was repeating ourselves with Raphael's anger. And to be honest, I believe this scene would have been better like later on, like during the start of like the series, mostly because we get to see Raphael's anger and how he controls it, and maybe having Casey Jones at the start maybe would have helped bring down his anger issues. But to be honest, it was just how he kept going back and forth between his anger. And sure, I know it's his common thing and his theme around his anger and his rage, and he's passionate about it, but it's just getting boring at this point with the rage and anger sort of thing. We keep going back and forth, he keeps harming his brothers. Like last episode, his anger almost got Leonardo and his brothers killed because of Spike or Slash, whatever we call him now. But it's just how we keep going back. He keeps falling back on himself to this previous version of himself in which he's angry and he can't control it. It's just getting a bit repetitive.
Yeah, I think that with this version of Raph, and like specifically in the scene, I do really enjoy this scene. I think because I do always enjoy the training scenes, and I do think that this one was quite fun to see in the Turtles training. But I think that going off your point, I do think that like with Raph's anger thing, I think it's like it can be a really interesting thing depending what they do with his anger, and I do think that in the past few episodes, well, they have been a little bit repetitive, I want to say a little bit, with like going over the anger problems. I do think that they did like do something unique and fun with the idea of him having the anger problems. But in this one, it just feels so forced on and so forced into the episode that it doesn't really feel like good at this point. And I do think that also another thing that like really made this episode really bad in that area was the fact that in the last episode we was dealing with the same problem as well. So I think that either like one episode like should have been like later in the season or something like that to really like, you know, have like one episode more impactful. But also like with some of the other stuff, it was a little bit more understandable in a way. Where like basically Raph last episode he was got angry because Donnie nearly killed Spike and all that, and that's somewhat understandable. The first episode with Raph's anger problem, yeah, maybe not so much understandable, but in this one, it was just, I don't know, it's really hard to really come up with, I don't want to say excuses, but or like reasons why he is angry, because he literally just, because he got angry just because Leo beats him, and then says that he was an accident, and he didn't want to hurt anyone, but he had no intent, but he had like full intentions of going out and hurting someone, and it was just so unnecessary for like no reason whatsoever. It just, I feel like it's just going to be one of those things where I just get mad at over and over again.
Very much so.
But yeah, I do think it's like really annoying, but there is like certain ways they could improve it and do unique things, but this one is just, there's just no reasoning behind any of it. I mean, I will say, like, I think like a good example, like going back to like 2003 show, when Raph was fighting Mikey in the episode and he got angry, it was a little bit more understandable because Mikey was winding him up. But in this one, it was Leo beat him fair and square, but yeah. Okay, then going into the next bit, we do get to see Casey Jones. He comes out of the shadows and he starts to fight the Purple Dragons. What do you think about that scene?
That was pretty cool, seeing Casey Jones go up against the Purple Dragons whilst some poor random guy on the street is getting mugged by them. It was pretty cool to see how Casey Jones fights and what his like main weapons are and his tactics. But to be honest, the only thing that I take from that scene is why would he use his actual name?
Well, he's never really had like a nickname before. So, you know, I'm not too sure. It's Turtles.
It's Turtles, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think with this scene, I do think it was actually quite cool to see this version of Casey fight Purple Dragons. And I do think that, like, in terms of like differences between 2003 and this one, I think that this one like showed off a lot more of his skills in terms of like actually like shooting the hockey pucks and hitting them. I feel like this one was able to express a bit more of his hockey side, and I did really enjoy that quite a bit. But then going into the next scene where we do get to see Raph fights Casey. What do you think about that scene?
To be honest, I really wasn't expecting what was going to happen in that scene. And to be honest, I could see Master Splinter had gotten through to Raphael in that scene as well. Like, Raphael was quoting Master Splinter, said, anger is a terrible ally to have and all that, and so forth. And he kept quoting Master Splinter because he saw himself in Casey Jones. So that was kind of interesting to see, but it was very forced, I believe. However, I really wasn't expecting on how it would take a turn. Like, Raphael was going to kill Casey Jones. If he didn't stop, I think he would have run that blade through Casey Jones and just killed him, basically. Like, if he didn't stop and think for just a second, I think Casey Jones would not be here.
Yeah, I mean, with this fight scene, I really did enjoy how, like, so unique this fight scene was compared to, like, 2003 one. And I just think that it was just so great with this fight scene, and there was a lot to really enjoy about it. Going to your point about like, Raph telling Casey about, you know, you shouldn't use your anger and all that, I've always found it weird that in these, like, instruction episodes where we do get to see Casey and he also fights Raph always tells Casey, oh, you shouldn't be angry, but, like, he's, like, the least person, like, he should be talking, or, like, last person he should be talking about anger in, like, these type of stories. I've always found that so weird. But even, like, with this fight, there was a lot of stuff which I really did enjoy, and I do like how they adapted the fight scene from the original story, but I, like, changed it up enough to, like, fit this version of Turtles. And I think that worked really well, and it was just so great. And even seeing, like, Casey's abilities, it was, like, really surprising, really great to see how unique this version of Casey was, like, you know, electrocuting Raph. And I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing that Casey could have potentially have, like, defeated Raph, which, yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is what it is. But yeah,
It is what it is.
But yeah, I do find it weird how, like, close Raph got in this version of Turtles to, like, killing Casey. In no other version, he's never gone this close to, like, killing him or anything. So I do find that to be, like, extremely weird that this one, like, aired on Nickelodeon, and this one was the one that nearly killed Casey, a teenager. I just find that so weird, but great also as well.
Yeah, I seriously don't know how they got away with airing that. Literally, you could get away with so much stuff back then.
Well, this was only like 10 years ago, so it wasn't really, you know, like, it wasn't, I don't think it was, like, looked upon that correctly back then.
Yeah, I understand that, but you could never get away with something like that now, could you?
Oh, no.
Like, it would either be, like, gaslighted, or it would be banned, or it would be too violent. It just, you can't get away with it.
Yeah. So going into the next scene, we do get to see Casey's talking to April in the school. Do you have anything to say about that little scene there?
Yes, I do. Not the fact that Casey Jones is, like, literally black and blue at this point, but I gotta say, I recognised one of the voice actors. There was a voice actor that I don't know, but one of the girl in the skirt, April's friend, I didn't catch her name, but she sounded like Velma from Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated.
I'm not too sure who the voice actor or actress is, but the character is called Irma.
Elma. Hold on a minute. Elma, Velma. Hold on. This just sounds like Scooby-Doo. Like, is Scooby-Doo related to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle universe?
Surprisingly, they've never actually crossed over before. Surprisingly.
I don't know. Maybe they just got lazy with, like, the characters. It's like, you know what? Let's take Velma from Scooby-Doo and put her in this one.
Give it time.
It's only a matter of time. There's got to be some, like, fanfic or, like, some people trying to cross over the two. Like, it's already happened with Batman and DC, and then, of course, there's probably bound to be hundreds more crossovers that I still don't know about.
Yeah, I do think that with this scene, I don't have anything to really say about this scene. The one thing which I do want to say about this scene though is the fact that the school was so empty. I know that like the class was, classes were just about to begin, but still you see like a lot more students. Or is that just a UK thing?
To be honest, I didn't really notice as such. I thought they were just in class, and Casey was running late or something, so I didn't really notice that as such.
Yeah, it was April, Irma, and Casey, and then 2 teachers in the background. That was all there was in the school.
Wow.
So
what a great school, eh?
yeah. Okay, so then in the next scene we do get to see Raph has come home and he apologises to Leonardo, but then all the other turtles have wound him up. And I really want to go talk my opinions about here first. Mikey's countdown was just amazing. Yeah, that's all I really got to say about that scene. It was just amazing.
Mikey's countdown.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say about that scene?
To be honest, I got nothing much, but the countdown was pretty cool. But it just shows that Raph's anger issue just keeps coming back to haunt him, and it gets a bit annoying. Like this episode, I don't know why, but this episode, Anger's Raph has just really got on my nerves. Like just to see him like get angry about every little detail. Like I thought we got past this stage. I thought he learned from his mistakes.
Well, that'll be common sense, and also that'll be a 2003 show. But the show keeps repeatedly keep going back on like story elements which they've already gone over. Just get used to it. We've still got a few more episodes. We've still got a few more angry episodes to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not the last one.
Yep. Just brace.
So then after that we do get to see Raph goes out, and that's when he goes back to a lair and Casey follows him. Do you have anything to say about that little scene there?
To be honest, I got nothing much. I was very shocked that Casey could follow him. Like, I'm surprised no one else has done that before. Like, follow the turtles back to the lair. Like, I'm surprised that the Foot didn't do that first. I'm surprised Karai didn't do that. Or even the Krang. Like, I'm surprised it wasn't found sooner.
Yeah, but this, that little bit there, I've got 2 things that... Oh god, yeah. So like, how did Raph not hear Casey following him? And it wasn't even like Casey was trying to hide, because he was running in water. So Raph could, like, you know, could clearly hear him, even with the footbots. I don't know how Casey didn't hear them. So there's that. And also the next big thing. How is Casey the only one able to find the turtle's lair? I mean, I know that Pulverizer did find it, but he had help with the turtles. But Casey, how is he the only human in all the turtles' lives was the one to find the turtle's lair?
I have no clue, and I'm still trying to figure out how that's even possible. Like, no one has even... I'm surprised, after all the times that the turtles have been seen by humans and all the crazy stuff that's happened, I'm surprised that they haven't been found out sooner. Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah. So then going into the next scene, we do get to see Casey meets the turtles, April introduces them, and also we do get revealed that Casey has a rat phobia. What do you think about that little scene there?
To be honest, seeing Casey Jones' phobia to rats, did make me wonder how is he like going to like deal with seeing Master Splinter, but of course we found that out, and of course he just faints like when he sees him. But it was pretty funny to see him just react in such a way, like such a influential character who's angry and violent is somehow scared of rats.
Yeah. I mean, I do enjoy this because it's giving a lot more to Casey's character. Well, one thing which I do want to go off that is that I do like the big difference between like 2003 Splinter and 2012 Splinter and seeing Casey, because like in this version we just see him like he's very calm, like seeing that new human who's just intruded into their lair. He's very calm about it. He just walks up and just tells Casey about the story about how he named all of them, but very calm. And then in 2003 version, when Casey came in, he wanted to try and kill him. That's like the big difference between that. Yeah, so then going into the next scene, which was a pretty great one. So let's talk about the lair fight scene first, where we do get to see the Turtles, Splinter, April fighting the footbots and trying to save the lair. What do you think about those little scenes there?
To be honest, that was pretty cool. Seeing all of them come together and fight like an actual team was pretty interesting to see. To be honest, I don't really have too much to say about it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. I don't really have too much to say about it. I really did enjoy like the scene where Donnie and Michelangelo was like playing around with the lab when they were fighting the footbots. But to be honest, I really don't know how they haven't exploded the lab yet and chuckle mutagen all over the place, which is still perplexing to me. So don't know how that's the thing. But overall, I don't have too much to say. The next scene, however, I will have a lot to say.
Yeah, I think we will do. So with the 11 fight scenes, I really did enjoy it. I mean, I always do enjoy big fight scenes and lair fight scenes. That was pretty interesting, really great. And with this fight scene, it was like really great, I want to say. And my only real big problem with this one was the fact that it was like they didn't show you too much of it. And I know that like the main focus was on Raph and Casey's fight scene, and I do enjoy how much focus they did give on that. But at the same time, I would have preferred to see a lot more of this one, just because I do feel still like there was a lot of really interesting, really great elements in there. To seeing like Splinter fight, and also to get to see Mikey and Donnie have a interesting scene in Donnie's lab, which I felt like there was a lot of really interesting elements they could have like shown in that fight scene, but unfortunately we didn't get that. So then going into the next scene, where we do get to see an overpowered footbot get chased down through the sewers and through the subway by Raph and Casey. Please take it away, Hayden.
Where do I start? That was probably my favourite part about this episode, seeing Raph and Casey Jones go after this footbot and somehow immediately come allies. Like, Casey Jones is like hunting him down and he wants to be the first. Raphael wants to hunt him down and be the first. And just seeing the two work together in tandem was pretty weird at first, but I slowly got over it and just thought, okay, this is like a good little duo for them. And just seeing how they work and how they think together, like Casey Jones with the spray paint trying to tag the ninja, was pretty genius. And yeah, just seeing them fight together, and of course Casey Jones saved Raphael's life from the subway car, which is pretty cool to see, and that's how they like bond slowly over it. But yeah, it was pretty cool. But the one scene that I really did enjoy was like the subway, like when they're on the subway car, their tensions are high and they're just absolutely going all out on it. Casey Jones is fighting him, Raphael's fighting it, and of course Raphael saving Casey Jones' life on several occasions, and it was just so much to like process in that one particular scene. Like, everything's rushing by, you can't tell how fast they're going, you don't know what's going to happen, everything's just coming into a blur, and I really did enjoy it. It was action-packed, and it was just all that I could ever wish for, really. Just seeing everything just come together. And yeah, and of course I know I keep going on, but I just want to get it all out before I forget. I really did enjoy the scene where the Foot Ninja and Casey Jones and Raphael busts through the overpass and into that small confined passageway, because it got to show us a bit more of like the environments and how much that plays a lot of role into it, and including how they fight and react together in like small spaces, like they're working together to try and take down this one somewhat overpowered foot ninja. Like Raphael cuts off his arm and he's still going. Like, who knows? But yeah, it was really, really cool to see, and just seeing the two together and bond, like fighting together, seeing their anger and passion just being portrayed in that sort of manner was just really, really cool in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this whole fight scene is probably got to be like the highlight of the episode, and for good reason too. I think that it was just so amazing, and I think that you pretty much said everything really that I really want to say. I mean, I don't really like the football. I think is going to be like an annoying thing just because he is just so overpowered, but at the same time, it works so well for this episode and works so well for the scene that I can sort of forgive it because it was so good. And I do think that the highlight bit from this fight scene was the bit where they was on the train. I like how, I don't want to say unique this fight scene because there are like other fight scenes in Toes where we do fight on the train, but I feel like this is a more unique one compared to all the other ones. I don't know why, but this one was like this big standout one in terms of ones fighting on the train, which I do really enjoy, and it was just so great. And even seeing like them going throughout all the subways and stuff like that, I don't know how they kept it all up, but it was just so great. And I do like how a little bit violent they did get with like Raphael like throwing the sign into the football's arm and even into the head. I was really surprised by that, and for good reason. It was really great. It was, yeah, I don't really know what to really say other than what he pretty much already said. It was just so great and amazing. Yeah, I think the only downside to it was just the football being too overpowered, but it works so well that I can sort of forgive it. So yeah, then in the next scene we do get to see Raph and Casey. They come back to the lair, they bump their heads, they go and then jump out and gonna go off and fight some crime. So yeah, what do you think about that little scene there?
That was another scene that I did enjoy as well. I like Donnie's reaction to say that they are two Raphaels now. To be honest, I had the same reaction. At first, I'm thinking, oh no, there's going to be two Raphaels to deal with. And to be honest, I know it may sound weird, but I was quite surprised in how Donnie reacted to Casey Jones being in the layer with April. I didn't know where Donnie was going to absolutely like kill him or something like that because of their relationship, but to be honest, I'm quite proud of Donnie. Like he kept himself reformed and didn't go absolutely berserk, so that was good. But yeah, apart from that, I've got nothing else to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much to really say about it. It's just like one of those scenes that was just there. But going off your point about like the Donnie thing, I think that had this episode been longer or they took out some other scenes, then I do think that scene probably would have been in there. Yeah, I mean, I do think that like that's something which we can somewhat look forward to later on in the season, how they're gonna react with April and stuff like that. So yeah, if you thought Donnie was bad enough, then just you wait.
Oh jeez.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for the episode. So what do you think about this episode overall?
To be honest, I really did enjoy this episode. It was different, it was exciting, action-packed. We got to see a bit more about Casey Jones and his sort of life as well. And to be honest, I know I should have said this before, but I didn't realise Casey Jones had a family in this series, in this version of the TMT and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, sorry.
Oh yeah, that's a really interesting thing with that bit, because in this show, Casey brings him up like once or twice, but we actually never see them. In the 2003 show, Casey he doesn't talk about them, but then like later in the show, we do actually get to see them. So yeah,
that's interesting to know.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that overall this episode was a really great one. I don't think anyone can really deny it. But I think that like there's a lot of really annoying parts or aspects about this episode that just, I think, really makes you question a lot about the show and whether or not it's really good and if it's actually progressing the story or the characters. But other than that, I think that this episode was really enjoyable. I think that's like the best way of really describing it.
Yeah, it was a very good episode to watch. I definitely would recommend.
Okay, so going into the next bit, do you want to hear some comments?
Let's do it.
Okay, so this one, we don't really have that many comments. It was a very short notice one in terms of the comments. So we got Alfred Jacom 2027. They put, yeah, for them meeting Casey for the first time, it was not good as I hoped. Okay, so with that, do you think that this version lived up to your expectations with Casey meeting the turtles or not?
To be honest, I was really in two minds about this. To be honest, because I've seen Casey Jones in the 2003 version, and now seen Casey Jones in the 2012 version, I've got to say, I really do prefer the 2003 version at this point. I know that may shock some people, but I don't know how to describe it. I just prefer that version of Casey Jones because I think it's more mature and more defining in Casey Jones' development. Like, we first see Casey Jones in the 2003 version to be out in the streets and almost killing Raphael, but just having a bit more development. Unlike the one today that we watched, I just feel like it wasn't enough development, nor the maturity, because of course Casey Jones is a teenager in this version, and I don't know any teenager that has like somewhat of maturity at that point. So yeah, I really don't know. It's a really difficult one to break down and talk about, really, but that's all I can say at this point.
Yeah, I do think that, like that being said, I do think that I do prefer 2003 Casey. One, I'm a bit more biased because I grew up in that version of Casey and he is the Casey for me. But I think, like, when comparing the two, it's not like necessarily saying that this one is bad or anything, but I think that I do think it's a bit more the maturity thing, but also I do feel as though that with the 2003 Casey, because he was an adult, he was able to do near enough anything really, but on this one, they do have to hold it back and stuff like that, and I just don't think that Casey in this version never really, like, I don't think he ever, like, really, met up to his potential, and I do think that maybe I'm a bit more biased because it's not 2003 and stuff like that, but I don't know. Okay, so then on Reddit we've got Freelance Wolf saying that basically they don't know what I mean about the anger stuff, but they go on to say, but issues just don't go away permanently. Even when you work to resolve it, it can still come back in some form or another. It was also partly to blame for him getting initially angry. It also didn't help that his brothers decided to provoke him further, or he was attempting to apologise. It'd be enough to set anyone off. Okay, so quickly before we go into the next bit of that comment, Leo wasn't partly to blame for Raph's anger at the beginning of the episode, or am I just a bit wrong here?
I'm not too sure, to be honest.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that Leo was to blame just because Leo beat him fair and square, and Raph just got angry just because Leo beat him. So, yeah. Okay, so the next bit of the comment, they go on to say, I love the animation when he attempts to do so, when attempts to do so, especially when he flicks his tail back. Oh, this person talk about the apologising scene. Lots of it say, I'm only saying all of this because I've heard people complain how his anger issues keep going up in several episodes. It's not something he can overcome just like that. And I do agree with that point, just because I do think that it's great that they are making it a bit more realistic in a way in terms of the problem's not going away. I do understand that, I do think that's, like, interesting. But I think that, like I've already said, I think that because this episode came out straight after an episode with him being angry and stuff like that, and also with this episode not really doing anything really unique or anything good with this one, in terms of his anger, I just don't think it worked too well. Also, not to mention, with all the other episodes with him being angry, he at least, like, learns a lesson to, like, control his anger and stuff like that. In this one, he just gets a new friend who's, like, equally as angry as him.
Yeah.
And then for the next one and last one, we got Elias Yorns 89. They put great action to establish the bond between Raph and Casey. Yeah. There was a few comments on Facebook. One was asking where to download the episode, and then also got another person sending an emoji of a forearm. So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so then for the trivia, we got so basically this the fight scene between Raph and Casey in alleyway was basically adapted from the original comics back in, I believe it was 1985 or 86, and that was also adapted for the 90s movie as well as 2003 show. And that's why the first fight scene in 2003 show with Raph and Casey is very similar to this one in this episode. Yeah. The title reference, the title for this episode is a reference to the 1966 film, the Italian western, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Casey. Yeah, have you seen that film? Because I haven't.
No, but I've heard of it. I've heard that like makes a lot more sense because I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it sadly. But that is a good title.
Yeah, I've heard of it, and also I've heard like loads of parodies and like other TV shows and movies. So it was pretty good, but I think it was a little bit before our time. Then Casey makes a drawing of himself defeating Raph in the Mirage comic style, which that's a little bit iffy just because the Mirage comic style it changes all the time. So yeah. And the next bit was saying that basically this episode was aired out of order, and basically next week's episode was made first. However, this one was released first, so a little bit interesting.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter all too much just because they don't really reference anything in like the episodes or anything, so it's not like a big deal or anything like that. But it's always really interesting to see when the episodes get aired out of order. I always find it so fascinating. On Casey's hockey stick, it has the name Eastman, which is a reference to to creator Kevin Eastman. Casey's line where it says, "What do you think you are?" It's a little bit loosely referencing the movie The Taxi Driver when one of the characters is saying that in the mirror. Have you seen that film?
What film was that? Sorry.
The Taxi Driver.
Is that with Taxi Driver? I don't think I've seen it, but I've heard of it from somewhere.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. Then the last bit of trivia is that Super Sentai is spoken by Mikey while preparing to watch Super Robo Mecha Force 5. Super Sentai is a long-running Japanese live-action TV show franchise whose footage is used for its American equivalent, the Power Rangers. Okay, so for the cast, and I did quickly look up the person who did Irma, and you'll be surprised with what they've been in. Okay, so April voiced by Mae Whitman, Casey Jones voiced by Josh Peck, Donatello voiced by Rob Paulson, Leonardo voiced by Jason Biggs, Michelangelo voiced by Greg Sipes, Raphael voiced by Sean Astin, Homeless Guy voiced by Andrew Kishno, we've got Fong voiced by Andrew Kishno, Sid voiced by Andrew Kishno, Tosho voiced by James C, Splinter voiced by Hoon Lee, Dr. Blip voiced by Scott Menville, Cyborg X voiced by Brian Bloom, Captain Dash Coaster voiced by Brian Bloom, Lung voiced by Noah North, Princess voiced by Mae Whitman, and the person who did Irma was Kate Menikakun. I know I said that wrong, so sorry. And yeah, she did do the voice of Irma in like loads of projects.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's been in quite a few things, which I was not really expecting, but it was all pretty cool. She's been in the most recent Monster High stuff. I'm guessing you've not seen that. She was in the... Oh, there's something you've seen her in. Do you remember the Multiverses game? It was like Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did the voice of Velma in there.
Oh wow.
Was she's been in quite a bit of stuff when looking into it, but she's done like a lot of stuff as Velma. She was in DuckTales. She's been in quite a few things. Steven Universe Future. What else? She was in Supergirl. Teen Titans Go.
That's a good one.
What else? Oh, Steven Universe as well. Yeah, well, she has been in quite a few things. I think she's been doing it since 2004. I think it was when she first started doing acting. Powerpuff Girls. She did Zatanna and Liquor Game. Yeah, she's really done like a lot of stuff with like Velma. It's like pretty much every other thing is Velma.
Yeah. I immediately knew it was Velma because that voice just never goes. You always know like the characters that you grew up with as a kid. Like you always knew. Like I'm just looking through her profile now and
She's
everything.
done
There's
Clayface.
so much Scooby Doo. Clayface.
Yeah, in the Lego Batman movie.
Oh,
I was not expecting that.
That's cool. Yeah. That's so cool.
Oh, she was
You've
in
got
Big Bang Theory, Regular Show. Yeah, pretty much everything. Scooby-Doo and other stuff. Wow.
Yeah, Ben 10 Omniverse. That she was only in for 2 episodes though. So, what else?
Ooh,
There's
Rio
a
2.
lot of...
Okay.
Sorry, what was that?
Rio 2.
Where's that? Rio 2.
It was in 2014.
I don't. Wait. Oh yeah, I found it. Rio 2. Tiny. Yeah. Tiny. Yeah. Yeah. She has an extensive portfolio. It's so cool to see that. Really, just seeing what show she's been in. Like, of course, she's even been in the video. The DC superheroes, the Flash, and all that.
Wow.
In the Lego version, like so much here, just to break down and go through. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so going into the next bit about the episode title, and oh boy, you're gonna love this one. Next week's episode is called The Krang Conspiracy. What do you think is gonna happen in that episode?
I think the Krang are gonna have some sort of conspiracy.
Okay, let's go one step further. What do you think the conspiracy is?
Conspiracy is maybe the Krang are not as they are. Like maybe they've got like another agenda, perhaps. To be honest, I don't know. The Krang are always so superstitious and secretive. You don't know what they're gonna do next. They're gonna try and make the world like destroy the world again. They're gonna like make another mutant to hunt the turtle. I don't really know at this point.
Okay, well, to help you get a bit more excited, everything that's happening with April will all be revealed in next week's episode, and yeah, that should hopefully get a few more theories going.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna finally find out what April is like. Is she human? Is she alien? Is she like some sort of science experiment gone wrong? And this is, I don't know. There's so many avenues and choices to make. I don't know. I'm completely overwhelmed now. I don't know what to go with.
Well, yeah, next week's episode is going to be a really interesting one, because I know with you, like all your theories, as soon as you start watching it, as soon as we go into like certain parts of the episode, you're going to lose your mind with all your theories. I'll guarantee you that.
Okay then.
Yeah, it's going to be like a really interesting episode next week one. So yeah, if you want to go onto the podcast, you can leave a comment on either YouTube, you can leave it on Reddit, Facebook, Anchor, either through the text message or the voice message. But yeah, I've been your host Teddy,
And I've been Hayden.
and we'll see you soon. Goodbye, yo, bye.
Bye.